Allyson Felix can run, but she can't hide. The spotlight comes with the territory, but she handles it with poise. Likewise, former WNBA star Becky Hammon, a coach with just as much game as the men in basketball's NBA. And for Ukraine's Olga Karlin, the thrust and parry of fencing means the limelight sits closer to home. It's lights, cameras, and affirmative action for today's sportswoman. In contrast to her sizzling track speed, the time it took for Allyson Felix to receive full appreciation for her sprint feats was slow. Only in 2017, after a 13-year career at the top of sprinting, did Felix get the recognition her vast talent deserved. She just had to become the World Athletic Championships' most decorated track and field athlete of all time to do so. The graceful, calm American had been overshadowed, first by the charismatic sprinters she competed against, and then the juggernaut of Usain Bolt and his seemingly endless string of record-breaking achievements. Even in 2015, when Felix won an impressive 9th world title, the media still didn't seem satisfied.
I think it's 9 times, isn't it now, world champion? 10 times sounds a lot better, right?
Yeah, I know Usain just did that. So, yeah, but I'm just happy to get another one.
But it's a career that hasn't been without its setbacks. In 2018, her first child was born under emergency conditions. And when sponsor Nike refused to support the Olympic champion in the time surrounding her pregnancy, she entered a very public spat, making headlines around the world. But for all the drama and misfortune she's had to endure along the way, Allyson Felix has always managed to give something back. She's a keen sports advocate and a member of the U.S. President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition for Children, and often spends time conducting clinics and other events for youth with disabilities. Athlete, mother, child campaigner. It all makes for thirsty work for U.S. track star Allyson Felix. Coming up, Allyson Felix faces challenges and changes to become a track and field great. The second half of Allyson Felix's athletic career saw some challenges and changes. After choosing the 400 over the 200 at the 2015 World Titles, she campaigned strongly for the IOC to change the Olympic schedule in Rio to allow her to compete in both races. They agreed, but 4 months out from the Games, she tore ankle ligaments, and although she courageously qualified for the 400 meters, she wasn't able to qualify for the 200. She took silver in the 400 in Rio, losing by just 0.07 of a second to Shawnee Miller of Bahamas, who made a controversial dive across the finish line.
Yeah, for me, I've had a number of trials this year dealing with injury leading up into the Games, and then after the 400, just being completely devastated. Having to refocus, it's just a part of sport, and it's what sometimes you just have to put the pieces together and just keep going on.
Felix's focus switched to defending her 400-meter title at the 2017 World Championships. But going out too hard in the first half of the race cost her. She walked away with the bronze. But despite the third-place finish, the 2017 World Titles in London was the moment Allyson Felix turned 9 gold medals into 11. She now shared the World Championship record with Usain Bolt, but owned the overall medal record of 16 alone. Her 6th Olympic gold was a record for a track and field athlete, and her 9 medals overall equaled the record of Jamaican Merlene Ottey. But it was only after the London World Titles that full appreciation of her talents came. Not that she has ever sought fame, nor played the role of diva.
You know, I never really think about it too much. I just love the sport. I'm passionate about it and really proud of what I've done over the past 14 years.
Nor does she focus on her ever-growing medal tally.
You know, honestly, I've never been motivated by those records, and I only know them when you guys bring it up. I never take it for granted each and every time, and it is special, you know, to be able to look back and see what I've done in my career.
2018 would see a change in Felix's calendar. At 32, after nearly 2 decades of racing, she began posting subpar results, and her Tokyo 2020 campaign suddenly looked in jeopardy.
Well, I would love to make it to 2020. That's kind of my goal. I would love to end my career there.
She ran 51.35 seconds in a 400-meter race in Poland that year, and backed it up with a 52.01 running in France the following week. She was 2.35 off her PB, and her coaches were concerned. It wasn't until Felix revealed she was pregnant that her team's minds were put at ease, knowing that it wasn't just an aging body catching up with her. But Felix's journey into motherhood wouldn't be without its challenges. With her blood pressure rising and the baby's heart rate decelerating, Felix gave birth to daughter Cameron via emergency C-section at 32 weeks, with the Olympic champion suffering extreme preeclampsia, forcing her to spend Christmas in the neonatal intensive care unit. And compounding the situation would be longtime sponsor Nike. Her contract ended after 7 years due to issues concerning pay protection for pregnancy, where the iconic sports brand refused to contractually agree not to penalize Felix if she didn't perform at her best in the months after childbirth. The overall experience brought doubt and fear of having to let go of her Olympic plans, but the strong-willed 33-year-old ultimately set a course for her 5th Summer Games. And she ticked a lot of boxes on the way there. At the 2019 World Championships in Doha, the dual Rio gold medalist equaled sprint legend Usain Bolt's record of 12, winning the mixed-gender 4x400-meter relay before breaking away with 13 as part of the women's 4x400-meter team. It was a remarkable achievement, with the 6-time Olympic champion able to sum up her feelings on Twitter in just one word. Allyson Felix had quite a journey leading up to Tokyo 2020, her final Olympics. She'd gone through the ordeal of giving birth to daughter Cameron, and she'd managed to change the mindset of one of the biggest sports sponsorship companies in Nike, who announced in mid-2019 that new contract guarantees would be offered on athletes' pay and bonuses for 18 months surrounding pregnancy. And as with most athletes, Felix also had to overcome the challenges of preparing for an Olympics during the COVID-19 pandemic.
You know, the harder your road is, it's kind of like the sweeter the success is. And even more than that, I think I took so much pride in representing women, you know, and other mothers. And I think because I heard from so many of them after I spoke out, and just even from trials on, you know, women who were encouraging me and who had, you know, who aren't in athletics but are in different industries, but feel that same sense of, you know, starting a family and feeling like, you know, a part of your life is over or being pushed in a certain box when you know you have more to give. And so I really felt inspired by those women and wanted to represent for them.
And representing is what she did, winning the 10th Olympic medal of her 17-year Olympic career, with bronze in the women's 400 meters before taking gold in the 4x400-meter relay alongside Cindy McLaughlin, Delilah Muhammad, and Ah-Ting Mu. American Carl Lewis was now no longer the most decorated track Olympian of all time, and Jamaica's Merlene Ottey was no longer the most decorated female track Olympian of all time. Allyson Felix had taken everything before her in what can be described as the mother of all sprint careers. Coming up, from WNBA point guard to NBA coach, Becky Hammon breaks new ground in American basketball. Becky Hammon doesn't look like a pioneer. Her no-fuss, unassuming manner has led people to underestimate her whole career. But as the first full-time female assistant coach in the NBA, she's proved her mettle time and again, breaking down barriers and glass backboards as she goes.
You know, this is a tremendous opportunity, and I take it with great responsibility. Like I said, as cool as it is, there's just the fact that this is basketball, and there's women that have trailblazed much bigger paths.
Hammon was born in Rapid City, South Dakota, and was a prolific scorer during her college career with the Colorado State Rams, being named All-American 3 times. Undrafted, she'd go on to play 16 seasons in the WNBA, as well as stints overseas. In a league of 6-foot titans, her 5'6" was seen as a disadvantage. But her ability to score in clutch situations and become a 6-time WNBA All-Star led to the nickname Big Shot Becky. The point guard played 8 seasons with New York Liberty before playing 8 more with the San Antonio Silver Stars, where she became the club's all-time leader in assists, 3-point field goals, and points per game. But it was in 2013, during a long injury layoff, that the basketball world first saw Hammon's passion for coaching, after head coach of the NBA's San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich, invited Hammon to attend practices, coaches' meetings, and games. And when the Stars bestowed its highest honor on Hammon, retiring the number 25 jersey in 2014, she took up a coaching offer from the Spurs' Popovich to become the first full-time female assistant in NBA history.
My dad, my brother, I just have always loved the game. You know, growing up, I remember asking my dad, you know, hey, Dad, will I ever play in the NBA? At that point, there was no WNBA. I'm, you know, 7 or 8 years old. And so, you know, I'm gonna have to call him up and say, Dad, you never said coaching. So.
Long considered one of the best and most respected coaches in the league, Greg Popovich led his team to 5 NBA championship victories between 1999 and 2014. Along with his success on the court, he's earned a reputation as basketball's most woke coach for his outspoken, socially conscious opinions. Nonetheless, both Popovich and Hammon deny her appointment had anything to do with breaking down gender barriers.
I think the bigger point is I'm getting hired because I'm capable, because of my basketball IQ, and stuff that they've seen in me personally.
Under Pop's expert guidance, Hammon proved herself a player's coach, accessible but tough, clear in her direction and communication, with deep love and appreciation for the game.
But no, it's great to have Becky around. She was a player last year, a leader, and has done great things in the WNBA, so she's going to help us.
On December 30, 2020, the San Antonio Spurs hosted the NBA's defending champions, the LA Lakers, at the AT&T Center for the final game of the year. The day also marked the 36th birthday of LeBron James, the Lakers' greatest weapon. Not the ideal moment for Becky Hammon to make her senior coaching debut. But so it was, with history made at the 3-minute, 56-second mark of the second quarter after Greg Popovich was ejected from the game. The 3-time NBA Coach of the Year turned to Hammon on exit with a short but sweet message. You got him. But despite the 121-107 loss and LeBron getting his birthday wish, Hammon had made history, with her achievement listed right up there among the best in her glittering career.
It's a big deal. It's a substantial moment. You know, I've been a part of this organization. I got traded here in 2007. So I've been in San Antonio, part of the Spurs and sports organization with the Stars and everything for, 13 years. So I have a lot of time invested, and they have a lot of time invested in me, and building me and getting me better.
Heading into 2021, speculation was rife as to what was next for Becky Hammon. Could she become the first ever outright female head coach of a major NBA franchise?
She's somebody who's very skilled and could very easily fulfill the duties of a head coach in the NBA. That goes without saying. I mean, there are women in every other endeavor in the world, whether it's government, science, technology, aviation, doesn't matter what it is. Women do the same jobs as well and better than men.
6 months later, it seemed Greg Popovich's prediction may come to fruition. The Portland Trail Blazers, who had just exited the playoffs at the hands of the Denver Nuggets, had agreed to part ways with Terry Stotts after 9 years, and Hammon felt the time was right to have a stab at the top job. She made it through to the final stages, only to lose out to former Detroit Pistons point guard and LA Clippers assistant, Chauncey Billups.
And then she made it all the way to the ownership level, which is really an endorsement of just how far she's come and how close she is to being a head coach. Look, this was a diverse list of candidates. We felt like we were in an equitable search.
It was a decision made all the more unpalatable after it was revealed Billups had faced sexual assault allegations 25 years prior. And when Hammon interviewed for several more NBA senior coaching positions, but still came away without an offer, she decided the time was right to go back to where it all started, in the WNBA as head coach of the Las Vegas Aces.
I couldn't be prouder to come back to the W. It's where I'm from. We're not even having this conversation if it wasn't for the WNBA. So I couldn't be happier to come back and give back and invest in these girls, not only as basketball players, but as young women and as leaders, not only in the community, but in the world. So I am stoked.
The Aces got the trump card with Becky Hammon, a pioneering sportswoman who focuses on the job at hand, gets it done, and does it exceptionally well. Next up, artistic, dramatic, and fast. Ukraine's Olga Karlin sits on the cutting edge of fencing. Born from centuries of combat, fencing is a beautiful sport to watch. Artistic, theatrical, a sport defined by its classical imagery. And it's breathtakingly fast. Most people do not see the moment of the hit. Do not see how close the tip of the saber can pass without hurting me. What happens in a split second is hard to follow. Of the three disciplines of fencing, foil, épée, and saber, saber is the fastest. Unlike the other swords, the saber is a cutting weapon. A fencer can beat or hit their opponent's blade to make an offensive action before scores or touches are made, not just with the tip, but also the sides of the weapon. And because of its speed and variety, it's the harder discipline to dominate. It places high demands on balance as well as mental acuteness and agility. In short, fencing is chess on your feet. The sport's mental demands means upsets are common, which makes Olga Karlin's record over the last 15 years all the more impressive, and the Ukrainians' attempt at her first individual Olympic medal at Tokyo 2020, no fait accompli. Olympic fencing is a difficult dance. Even for Olga Karlin, Olympic gold medalist, 5 times world champion, 7 times a European champion. And when the Tokyo 2020 Games were delayed by 1 year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the dance got even harder. The pressure built for an extra 12 months, Lockdown stifled training, and the increased psychological load became a burden. But Carlin is no stranger to adversity. This, the second of 4 individual world championship titles, where she bounded back onto the piste in 2014 to defeat her idol and 2-time Olympic champion, Marielle Zagunis.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy because it's 2 times. For me, it's impossible. It's incredible. I'm very happy.
Carlin grew up in the seaside town of Mykolaiv in southern Ukraine and was taught fencing by her godfather, fencing coach Anatoly Shiklar. She joined the national team at 14 and at 17 represented her country in the 2008 Olympic Games, where she won gold in the team event. Individual gold in Europe and then at the 2011 Universiade Games would follow, with Carlin laying claim as the new golden girl of Ukrainian sport, elevating fencing to front pages across the nation. Her fast footwork and razor-sharp thrusts took her to the Olympic podium in London with individual bronze. And after another individual bronze and team silver in Rio, she sat 3rd on the overall medal list of Ukraine Olympians, behind medley swimmer Yana Klochkova and canoeist Ina Osipenko. She is the only 4-time individual female world champion in saber fencing. And although she bowed out early at the 2018 world titles, she retained her #1 ranking and her strong will. Why am I the best in the world? Probably because of stubbornness. Despite Carlin's win-at-all-costs attitude, the toughest for her to beat in Tokyo was going to be someone 6 years older, Russian Sofia Velikaya, a 2-time world champion. Between them, they have won 6 of the last 7 individual world titles and fought the final in 2019 with Carlin winning by the smallest of margins, 15-14. 2 superb athletes, both with team gold at the Olympics, but only climbing to the lower steps of the individual podiums. Victory for Olga Carlin at Tokyo 2020 would have been fitting. But in saber fencing, nothing is ordained. The 12-month delay of the Games and the inability to train and compete at the highest level in lead-up left Carlin underprepared, physically and mentally, and out of competition in round 1, thanks to China's 45th-ranked Yang Hengyu. Instead, the honors went to Sofia Pozniakova of the Russian Olympic Committee, who defeated Sofia Velikaya in the gold medal match. Velikaya was 35 in Tokyo in 2021, and the greatest female Olympic fencer of all time is Italy's Valentina Vasali, who was 37 when she took her 6th gold at London 2012. The best fencers in the world are neither the most naturally gifted or the most athletic. They're the most experienced. And with Olga Carlin still only 34 heading into the 2024 Games, expect the Ukrainian to take on guard and not miss another beat in Paris.